Today, we're going to be covering two main topics, batch actions and our QA track feature. So, um, batch actions are, available to everyone in the app. And QA track is a add-on that can help with, quality assurance, uh, workflow for ResNet and Energy Star. So, uh, let's get into it. Yeah, so we're going to cover, you know, some of the main batch actions you can do on the project list, as well as some brand new batch actions that you can do in the component library. Some of those have just come out this week, even, which is pretty exciting. And then also, please leave any questions in the chat. We'll try to answer them as we go along, and also, address any of them at the end if we have time. Cool. All right, so let's get started. So batch actions, the majority of these will be found on the My Projects page in Ekotrope. So if you're on the My Projects page, you can select multiple projects, and then down at the bottom, there's a batch actions menu. There's a number of selections you can make there. We'll start with, one of the more straightforward ones, which is batch submit. And this, can be to ResNet, to a utility. This can also be if you're a rater company that's under a provider, you can batch submit to QA or batch share with provider. And this can just help speed up your workflow, keep you organized, and move right along. If you batch submit to utilities, you'll be able to select from any of the projects where your organization is listed as an approved submitter, as an approved utility submitter. So, if you're submitting to multiple programs, maybe you're running this multiple times, but yeah, that's how batch submission works. There's also almost all of these also have API endpoints available that you can use if you have software tools that can do that functionality. Okay, another batch action is reports. So you can generate both projected and confirmed reports with batch actions from the My Projects page. The limits here are you can do up to 50 projects at a time and generate up to 100 reports at a time. So, if you're doing 50 projects, you can do 2 reports, things like that. Again, we also have the ability to do this through our API, but that would require a software tool to do that. All of the same reports are available in batch as they are on a project by project basis. All right. All right. So I'm actually going to hand this off to David here to take over on some of these other batch actions.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. Yeah, we're going to be going through a few of these things that, every once in a while we find people have forgotten that they're there and want to make sure we kind of reminding all the functionality here that is an Ekotrope. One of which is this batch modify projects function. So this is for that use case where you maybe have a whole bunch of multifamily units or a whole bunch of sampled homes or just like a whole bunch of the same home that you want to make the same update to. Under that batch actions menu, you can go to modify projects, and then you can create these multiple changes and define them all at once, and then press OK, and it's going to make the same change to all of the projects that you've selected before going to the modify projects menu. The other thing that is super helpful here is if there is something that's not supported here, you can request a custom batch modification. And this was pretty flexible. So if there's something that you need changed across a whole bunch of projects, we can do that for you. It takes a little bit longer because we'll have to write some little computer scripts to make that happen, but we can support a lot of different things. Um, we support all sorts of updates on that custom batch modification feature, and um, sometimes we may ask a few follow-up questions about kind of the requests you've made so we can support that. And I see a question about why can't I make batch modifications to mechanicals? You can make those if you request a custom batch modification. We just don't have it supported in app yet. And it's something that we want to support here at some point, and we keep reprioritizing those things. So hopefully soon you'll be able to do that yourself. But in the meantime, just request a custom batch modification for mechanical changes. Another one that we've recently have had a few people reach out to us about that they'd forgotten about is the generate a sample set. So we know ResNet is changing the sampling protocols some, and for Energy Star single family, it's starting to go away. But this is a tool that still is quite useful, even if sampling isn't around, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to take one project and copy that project as many times as you want. And when you copy that project, specify a new project name, a new address, a new city, new raters for that project. So some rating companies will, initially we're using this for sampling, but others have started to use it for non-sampled projects. If you do have one template energy model that's going to be built 20 times in a particular subdivision, and you don't want to copy them one at a time, you can download this spreadsheet that's up on the screen now, and you can kind of see that the first kind of 3 rows here are all that one template, and it's going to be copied and it's going to be made into 2 new energy models for 2 unique addresses. So if you're needing to go from one template to many address-specific files relatively quickly, maybe the builder needs their address-specific permitting docs, you can use this tool for that. It's not it's not necessarily purpose built for that. It's purpose built for sampling sets, but it can work that way as well. And we've seen it be successful there. This again is in that batch modification menu, and there are some support articles about how to use it because it is a little bit complicated to get everything set up just right in this spreadsheet. But we're happy to walk you through that if you're having any trouble from the support article.
Yeah, and one thing, I'll just add on about sample sets is it's, we do recommend that this is one of the very last steps you do when working on a lot of projects because, we have seen a lot of instances where folks will, okay, I'm going to create all my sample sets, and then they realize, oh wait, now I have to go do batch modifications because I, forgot to change something in my base files. So just, one tip there. David, we also just had a question about downloading all the reports into one document. Right now, all projects download individually. For that, I mean, I believe it has to do with like file size. That's the main concern on our end there. Is there anything else there that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think initially the for most use cases, it's raters need it as one file per address, but there definitely are use cases where you want all of those combined into one. We'll take this feedback and always great to hear this feedback that we could make some changes to put it all in one file, and it's always good to hear feedback here. Ooh, I see a couple more questions about batch sampling sets. One person asked, is there a way to batch duplicate multiple projects? So the sample set generator tool, you can have as many template files as you want. So like you could have 10 template files and each one of those copy each one 10 times. So you go from 10 templates to 100 address specific files. So this example here actually has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight different templates listed right there. So you can go from, you can duplicate multiple projects using this tool right here. Um,
And
so the next question was for the generate sample set. Can we use it for the new and old sampling? Um, yeah, so uh, the new sample set rules are changing the kind of the frequency and the numbers. And we actually don't know how ResNet's going to enforce that on the building registry side because there's QA checks on the building registry that uh, you know, make sure that there's only 7 projects in a sample set, and that sample set number is changing. So there's still some work to be done there to really understand if it's going to work with the new sampling protocols. And we need to hear from kind of ResNet on that to see what the QA requirements are on their side, or the I shouldn't say QA requirements. I should say the ResNet registry requirements are for us to submit those. So we're waiting to hear back on that, and we'll dig into that soon. Another question I just saw is there something that walks through how to use this in detail? Yes. There is a how-to article. If you click on the generate sample set button on the batch modifications menu, like that's highlighted there, it's going to open up a dialog box that has a few instructions on how to use it, but there's also going to be a hyperlink to a much more detailed process in Freshdesk on um, the screen that pops up there.
Mhm.
All right. Um, okay, let's move on to batch export and project details CSVs. So this is a place where you can download information out of Ekotrope to a CSV file or a spreadsheet. The 2 different types are project details, and which is highlighted there, and then right underneath that is the batch export CSV. The batch export CSV provides analysis results such as the HERS index and Energy Star compliance and energy consumption information, and some building specification data like the primary heating type and cooling types, as well as the efficiencies there. So this download, you can select multiple projects at a time and download this into a spreadsheet so you can look at the results there if you're doing some kind of an analysis or bulk reporting. And this export takes a little bit longer to run because you might be batch exporting 100 files, and we have to analyze all 100 files to get that, information to put into the spreadsheet. So it takes a little bit of time, but it'll email you the results once they're ready. The second export is the project details export, and this provides you all the information that's on the kind of the project page of the energy model. So that is the project status. Is it registered with ResNet? What's the registration date, registry ID, rating dates, address, builder, all the stuff in that project info screen for the most part. And again, you can download this for hundreds of files at a time and get this information if you're trying to, check to see what builders have had their projects registered or whatnot for some reporting there. This one's a little bit faster, but it's still the same thing where it will email you the results to your email once it's ready to go.
Awesome. Um, okay. I think this is that's all we really have for specifically batch actions. Also, I did share a help doc in the chat around that helps folks walk through uh, the sample set generator tool, just so you have that. And then
Great. So there's a couple other things that we wanted to cover here. One is importing from other software. So, everybody probably sees the import from RemRate button at the bottom of your project list screen. But we also have an importer for energy gauge files now as well. So if you want to import from Energy Gauge, let us know, and we can add that to your account as well. That way you can import the XML from RemRate or the ENB file from Energy Gauge into Ekotrope. Um, and the second thing that we want to talk about the importing from other files, there are people who share projects by downloading the REM XML out of Ekotrope, emailing that to somebody, and then they will upload that into their Ekotrope account from REM XML. And if you do need to share projects between rating organizations, you can contact support at ecotrope.com and we can help you share those things directly. So you don't have to export the XML and re-import it. Anytime we're talking about translating a language or a data structure between types, there's going to be some translation inconsistencies. Just because in a different language there isn't always the same way to say that exact word, and you have to kind of make an approximation to make that translation. The same thing happens with computer languages as well and data schemas. So importing and exporting that XML file, you're going to run into some of those translation inconsistencies. So let us know. We can share those Ecotrope files directly. The second thing that we have a batch action on that you might see at the bottom of your screen is the scenario modeling button. We're not going to go too deep into this, but this allows you to run a bulk value engineering analysis on many projects at one time. So, for example, a builder may ask, what's the impact if I change from this HVAC system to that HVAC system? And with scenario modeling, you can specify that change and then apply it temporarily to hundreds of projects or dozens of projects, and it'll send you back a report that says if the builder had, used that specification, the HERS index would be X. The HERS index changed by 2 points or whatnot, as well as compliance results for a whole bunch of different energy codes and code programs. So it helps you speed up that analysis time when they ask you, what if I had changed my specification to XYZ? It works with above grade, with walls, all the building envelope components, mechanical systems, mechanical ventilation, uh, water heaters, duct systems, what have you. So you can do a pretty comprehensive analysis there to speed up that what if analysis time. If you want to learn more, you can reach out to info@ecotrip.com and we can help you out there.
Right. Thanks, David. We had a few more questions. Um, Customizable batch reports. So I mean, you can customize which reports you generate in batch, but I don't know that we have any plans to provide customizations to the our existing reports. To be honest, I'd really like to learn more about what you're looking for here, Brad. So, feel free to send us an email at info@ecotrope about maybe what you're hoping to do there. And we can see if maybe it's something we can add. We also had a comment regarding the sample set generator. It uses a CSV file. Uh, you can open the CSV as like an XLS file as well to gain access to some more formatting functionality and a few more features in Excel. And then eventually, as long as you save it back in a CSV, it'll still work just fine. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, one thing to mention there though is CSV is a very flat like data format. So if you have done formatting and added tabs to that spreadsheet that you opened, you will want to make sure you save as Excel format before you then export it back to CSV. Because if you add a bunch of tabs and you press save, it's going to save it as a CSV and you might lose that formatting. So just be careful with that, so you don't lose any work. I know I've done that. Um, you know, CSV is a common data export format, and I've done that in various different softwares and been like, I forgot about that. So just remember to save as Excel, um, to preserve any formatting you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I try to keep it to one tab if I'm trying to save as a CSV. That's generally a good practice. And we also had a question on importing from RightSoft. Yeah, John, I think that's something, we would really like to do. I don't know that I think we've had some difficulty um, making that connection, but I think it is something we would like to add eventually. Just hasn't been on our high enough up our request list in terms of new features, but that's definitely something that's on our radar. Okay. Uh, so do want to share a little bit about some new features to the component library. Well, an old feature and then a new feature. So the component library, this is up in the top right, there's a button for component library. And again, it's you have a library for building envelope components, mechanicals, as well as a few other areas. You can merge entries. And basically, when you do that, you select multiple components and select merge, and then it asks you, okay, which one is the kind of master component that you'd like to merge these into. But be cautious because this can change results in energy models if hey, this component is in energy model X, and then that component gets merged and it slightly changes its inputs, that will change the results in energy model X. So it's something to be cautious about. Uh, one brand new feature is the remove components in batch. So now in the component library, you can select multiple, wall assemblies, furnaces, what have you, and delete them. So we know a lot of folks have fairly large component libraries. Hopefully, this helps you clean it up. And again, I think there's a lot more functionality we'd like to add to this component library as well. But we know batch remove has been a highly requested feature for quite a while. So just wanted to share that. Um, all right. Uh, so I think real quick before we go into quality assurance, one thing I would like to add, we'll be adding a new uh, feature in the mechanical ventilation section called the product library, where you'll have the ability to model a few um, manufacturer specific systems. So instead of just saying, hey, I'm modeling an exhaust fan, you'll be able to say, hey, I'm modeling a very, this specific exhaust fan. And these are specs that have been shared to us from the manufacturer, and it should help speed up your workflow a little bit and just give you a little higher level of quality assurance. Um, you'll probably start seeing that in the next 1 to 2 months. And please let us know how it's working for you. It's going to be a bit of a new area for us. So we're really excited to see it, but always, happy to hear feedback, especially on new features. So, all right. I think with that, let's talk a little quality assurance. So just give me 1 second to switch the screen share around. Um, all right. All right. So QA track is a feature that allows you and your whole organization greater visibility and automation in the quality assurance process for both ResNet and for Energy Star. Um, it can give you some peace of mind that you're doing enough QA to meet the ResNet requirements. And it can also speed up your workflow a little bit. Um, so I generally like to start with the few new fields it adds for projects. So it adds this QA type and this QA status field right here. So you can sort those on the project, on the My Projects page. The QA status is fairly straightforward. It's just kind of like, where is this in the QA workflow? Most projects will have none, but maybe it's been marked for QA, which we can talk about that a little bit. QA Track has the ability to automatically select projects for file QA at the rate that you'll make sure to hit that 10% requirement for RESNET. So, you could say, hey, I'm looking for a project that's marked for QA, and then the other field that's here is the QA type, which, hey, I know I'm going for HERS file QA. So, then you could add something like rater of record on top of this filter. And then, okay, boom, what are my projects that I need to do file QA for, John Doe rater? And it helps, you stay on track, speed up your workflow a little bit. Both this QA type and QA status are completely Ekotrope fields. They don't really interact with the registry or anything with RESNET. So any of these can be manually adjusted to whatever your needs are. So, okay, let's go into a project and we can show you what the checklist looks like. So if you go ahead and open a project, you can go in here, you can go into the building design. And again, this is our, kind of demo QA account. So, some of this information is, these are kind of, demo projects. So just, take that with a bit of a grain of salt. So just like you have the quick results panel here over on the right, you now can also have a QA track panel in a project. So it isn't always going to be there. You can toggle it on and off. I also like to, you can see the QA info here, where you have your field QA and your file QA. What types of QA are you doing? Maybe I'm also going to go ahead and do Energy Star file while I'm here. You can list, this will have a list of anyone with the QA role or provider admin role here in your organization. So you can list who's doing the QA. And this is more administrative here. Then we can go into the checklist. We have the file, field, and pre-drywall checklist for QA. As you go through here, right now this is the file checklist. You can edit any of these as you go along. They'll be blank when you start. So, if I look at a different checklist, maybe the pre-drywall one. Yeah, so, they'll start out as blank. One thing you can also do is leave comments, and these comments will be visible to your raters that are working in this project, and we can show you what that looks like here in just a second. One other workflow I want to just share, we have the ability to add custom items if there's specific things you want to share with your raters or that are specific to your organization. We also have this button right here that says mark unset items as satisfactory. So as you go through the checklist, instead of having to click every single item, you can just mark what's not applicable, unsatisfactory, or anything else that's not satisfactory. And then you get down to the bottom, you say, okay, I marked everything that's wrong. I'm going to say boom, and that can save you some time there. We also have this new feature called Submit to RESNET, and this works a lot like the RESNET QA app in that it is sending the QA review data to Kibana, which is the RESNET tool for tracking QA. When you hit this, it works a lot like registering a project with RESNET. As there's QA checks. You can see, okay, I did everything right. but oh, okay, it looks like I didn't list a QAD who's doing this QA, and that's going to block me from submitting this QA checklist. So it points you in the right direction to make sure you have all your stuff, all your ducks in a row before you submit. You can also save it uh, and share it. So sharing this sends an email and it will send it to anyone associated with the rating. So in this instance, the rater of record is the Ekotrope user rater. And then you can say, okay, I want to send the pre-drywall QA and the file QA checklist and click share. And this will then send that result. It'll send what the QA results are, as well as a link to the project to that rater. And then I'm going to hand it off to David real quick to show what it looks like from the rater's perspective.
All right. I was busy answering questions over here.
Oh,
Let me get
sorry about
situated.
that. Yeah, a lot of questions. Good.
Um, I all right. Is my screen all good?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it is.
I had this pulled up because somebody asked, can I update codes and programs with batch modifications? And you can. So it's an option right here. I had to go double check that, and you can update that information here. And soon we'll be adding appliances as a batch modification, hopefully in the next month or so. So look for improvements coming here. All right. I'm logged in as a rater in Ekotrope, and if a once my QAD has done some QA or even marked a project for QA, they may ask me to upload files to the project so they can have access to them. There's a couple limitations there that we're aware of and we're working on. Is you can't upload a zip file to the project. There's just some additional like complex security issues there with zip files that we decided to scope out from the onset, but it sounds like that's something we may need to fix or at least allow the QAD to download in bulk all of the documents. Which I think that's something we can do here. Oops, accidentally pressed a button. Sorry about that. So once they've marked a project for QA, I can go into the project and upload those files, and I can also see the completed checklist that the QAD has filled out. Um, Sorry, as I load here, uh, Patrick, you want to race me and see if you can get that loaded before I do. Um, So as a rater, I can log in here and I can see the QA status of any of my projects. And I can see something that says, maybe past QA, or more likely I'd be looking for needs revision up here to see kind of the items that my QAD has told me, hey, I need to make a correction on in the project before completed. So if I open this up, um, I can see that every QA type has been selected on this particular project. And I can go to the building design here. Um, and I can see the QA info tab right here as it loads. I can't change anything here. We want the QAD to have as much control over this as possible, so things don't get, snuck by. But I can still read all of it. And I can also come to the QA checklist. This one's not fully filled out, but I can see how they responded to each one of these. And I can also see the comments that they left for each item here. So, an example workflow may be the QAD does the review and emails the rater, said, hey, I finished up this review to this project, drops in the project link to the project. And the rater can then go to the project, make the corrections, and email the QAD back saying, hey, I made the corrections. And then at that point, the QAD can open up the file and verify the corrections were made and register it with ResNet. And then right after registering with ResNet, register the QA checklist with ResNet as well. So this is what it looks like from the rater perspective. And I'll pass it back to Patrick.
Great. Thanks, David. Oh, sorry.
All right, I'll get back to answering some questions over here.
Sorry about this. Here we go. All right. So we saw what it looks like from the rater perspective. We talked about how you can sort that on the projects page and also fill out the checklist in the building design. There's a few other key pieces to QA track that can help you out. So one, share here on the project level. You do have the ability to add project files. So some folks may have this feature as part of a utility program, but this is also part of QA track. You can add photos, checklists, PDFs, SketchUp files, all sorts of things to make it accessible between your rater and your QAD, so that it's all in one place. Another area is in here, the project info section. Much like you have your site info and your rating info, you will also now have a QA info tab. And this shows, okay, where do I stand on the checklists? What is the QA status? What is the QA type? Who's all this high level information that we've shown at other points. So this is just another area to get that. And we do have a share button here to share this information. So one other piece to this is you do get a QA track dashboard, and this helps you track your QA progress throughout the year, throughout the quarter, however you want to track it. So when you go into here, you will have a list here of every user that is associated with a rating in your organization. So anyone listed as an RFI, as HERS modeler, as a rater of record, anyone on any model will be listed here. One thing I like to do that helps a little bit is sort by file eligible projects. So again, this is our Ekotrope account. There's not a ton of projects that are eligible, but this will show you exactly, okay, Claire B has done 2 projects in the year 2025. And then there's different fields here that help you track it. So of those 2 projects, in this file QA selected column, 1 would be the amount of file QA that must be performed to meet RESNET standards because it's less than 10 projects. Of those projects, 2 have been selected for QA. So that's why it shows 2 over 1. Then this file QA completed. Okay, of those 2 projects that have been marked for QA, only 1 has had the QA checklist completed. And of those projects, none have been registered with RESNET. So you can associate, you can do QA on projects before they're registered as well, but this just also helps you track whether or not they've been registered. You could also, if I'm saying, hey, I want to do this on a quarterly basis, not an annual basis, I can say, okay, show me Q1 of 2025 and then refresh it. And oh, okay. Looks like none of these were from, or only one of these projects was from Q1. So that way you can, keep it segmented throughout the year and make sure you're still on track. We also have all this tracking for Energy Star. It works very similar. We don't yet have the Energy Star checklists in QA track, but you are able to fully track and do the administrative side of Energy Star quality assurance in QA track. Um, we'll also track your field eligible projects. Obviously, these are at a different rate. So file QA, this will, trigger off of, the 10% requirement, whereas field QA will trigger off the 1% requirement. You do have the ability to have Ekotrope automatically select projects for file QA. This can be done through the auto select QA button. And then there's another way, which I'll show you in a second. But what this will do is, okay, in the year 2025, how many projects are people eligible for? And then, how many file QAs have been selected versus how many do they need? And then it will make up that difference and automatically select enough projects for QA to meet the 10% requirement there. And when I say select them for QA, what I mean is it will give those projects the QA status of marked for QA. So you can filter for that on the projects page. And then also if you say, hey, I actually, I don't want to do QA on this project, I want to do it on this project, you can easily adjust that in the project, in that project info tab I showed a minute ago. And again, you can also filter this by quarter if you want to kind of do it as you go along.
Yep. I'm going to jump in here. There's a question from somebody about the date ranges on the left over there that I think it's easier to answer spoken. Um, okay, so if you have Q1 selected in the drop-down list, and this is showing projects that were registered with RESNET in Q1 2025, or you have already selected that project for QA and it has yet to be registered if you're doing things ahead of time. And so, for example, there's one project for test rater here. Now, if you press the auto select button and it has the same range selected, Q1 2025, it's going to select QA for projects within Q1 2025. So right now, that's the first, we're now in Q2. And then now, for example, maybe you did that in Q1 2025, and now you've changed the dates to just show all of 2025. Um, you'll see that test rater now there's two eligible projects. So now if you do the auto select button and you change the date range for auto select to year, the entire year, it's going to look and see that you've already selected two projects for QA. There's only two eligible. So it's going to look at the entire year. So projects that were registered in all of 2025 or unregistered and have been marked for QA. And it's going to select projects that are in that entire time span, not just Q1. So it's going to look at the full project list, not just the Q1 project list. So it may select a project from Q1 or it may select a project from Q2 since we're in Q2. It's going to be somewhat random there. So depending on what your goals are there, you may want to select one or the other. I think ResNet is asking for people to stay up to date on a quarterly basis for QA. So if you are selecting in the Q1 time frame and you say go, it's going to make sure you're updated on Q1. But then once you're into Q2, like we are now, and you say select from the entire year, it may select one in Q1, which means that you get ahead of pace for Q1, and it may not be counted in that Q2 quota if ResNet's being particular about that. So if you really want to make sure that you've dialed in your quarterly counts, always kind of select in quarter by quarter basis. Um, the thing with that quarter by quarter basis selection, though, is, for example, if a rater does one rating in each quarter of the year, so for four total, and you do the quarter by quarter selection, um, you're going to select every single project for QA there because every quarter it looks like they've done zero QA and they've done one rating. It gets selected, do QA, but at the end of the year, you've done 100% file QA on them because you QA'd every single one of the ratings. So if on that quarter by quarter, you can get slightly ahead, particularly for the raters that do small volumes. And you'll have to watch out for that as you go. And, once it's selected for QA, you can always deselect it if you don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah.
And Taylor, let me know if that helped out. I can follow up later.
Yeah, thanks, David. And I think even this is a pretty good example of that. You can see, in terms of the total projects that have been done in the year 2025, only 5 QAs are required. 7 projects have been selected for QA. Only 2 of those have actually completed the checklist, but that's like an example of, okay, maybe you're a little bit ahead and you can adjust from there if need be. All right. The one other area, so this is the kind of one-click auto select pathway. The other way to do this is on a more rolling basis. So if I go into my organizational settings, I have this uh, I have this enable instant QA selection, which allows basically, okay, starting May 4th of 2023, as projects are registered with ResNet, Ekotrope is going to automatically mark 1 in 10 projects for QA per rater. So it's not just like every 10th project, there is a randomization factor there, but it will just automatically do that for you. So then if you're a QAD, all you have to do is go to the My Projects page, search for projects marked for QA, and look at the rater, and then there you go. So this QA start date is really important because it kind of tells Ekotrope when to start counting from, and it doesn't, grab a bunch of projects from years ago, things like that. But this is the more rolling way to do that process. So wanted to share that. And that's about it. Again, just for QA track, it adds a few new, or there is one other filter in here that we didn't talk about. So we do now have this QA checklist submission status. So when you complete a checklist and you submit it to ResNet, it now can be filtered on the projects page via this. So I could say, okay, show me projects where I've submitted for file QA. And this would be means the QA checklist has been submitted to, the ResNet database. So that way you can track, okay, maybe I've done the QA, but maybe I haven't actually sent it because I was like waiting on something or, who knows. So that is the last piece I want to share with you. So that's about all we have for QA track. It can automate a lot of the tracking of how many projects do I need to do. It can automate which projects get selected for file QA. And then it can also just, help your workflow. Instead of having, 5 different windows open, you can really just have Ekotrope. It can have all your files there, and it can have your checklist in the building design. So you can have everything in a one-stop shop. So if if you're
Yeah. And just one other thing, like it's a new feature. We're excited about it. Let us know if you have any questions or suggestions. So far, I think there's been 7,000 QA checklists uploaded to Kibana with this tool so far this year. And it's something that we're actively working on, and happy to talk to you more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of folks have slightly different, QA workflows or, who's responsible for what. So, happy to talk through how this would apply to your specific organization, and how we want to do that. Uh, and with that, I think, wow, nice job, David. You got all these 33 questions answered. That's awesome. Um, if there's anything else that folks want to ask us, please reach out, info@Ekotrope. I'm also Patrick at Ekotrope. David is David at Ekotrope. Feel free to reach out to us as well. Um, Again, batch actions and QA track. Thank you all for attending. And uh, yeah, Ilana, I don't think we have the ability to uh, let you speak, but you can write a question in the Q&A if you'd like. Um, but yeah, really appreciate it. And we'll be doing more webinars in the coming months. So please stay tuned for those. And we'll also post a recording of this on our YouTube page. So if you want to come back and reference it, you can look there. So all right. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll stay on for a minute or two in case there's any new uh, questions. Um, Yeah, so it looks like there's a couple questions on the pricing for QA. So it is, pricing is based on volume of HERS ratings. It's generally between $1 to $2 uh, per registered home um, for your providership. So, um, you know, happy to have a one-on-one conversation of what that looks like for your organization. But that's what um, the price range is basically $1 to $2 per project. Um, yeah, Tony asked, what's the process of adding scenario modeling? Um, yeah, so that's uh, you can just reach out to info@ekotrope.com and or Tony, specifically for you, I can reach out to you and we can talk about what that looks like. There is a price associated with it. And it also, you know, depends. I need to look. We typically, Ekotrope licenses go through provide your provider. So I need to see if we have anything in place with your provider in terms of how that all works. So I can follow up with you on our own one-on-one, Tony. Um, Right. I think we're going to go ahead and sign off, but appreciate it, everybody. See you next time.